If you are over 60 and constantly clearing your throat, coughing up mucus, or feeling like something is stuck in your airway, stop for a moment and listen carefully. I hear this complaint almost every day in my clinic. Doctor, I've tried everything. Cough drops, hot tea, over-the-counter medicines. Nothing works. The mucus just keeps coming back. Just recently, a 68-year-old patient named Dorothy came to see me after suffering with chronic throat phlegm for 8 months. She was coughing constantly. She was embarrassed in social situations. She felt like she was always choking. What surprised her was this. Her phlegm problem had nothing to do with a cold or infection. She was making one very common mistake that was triggering excessive mucus production every single day. New research shows that one overlooked cause of chronic phlegm, especially in adults over 60, keeps people suffering for months or even years when simple solutions could eliminate the problem in days. I'm Dr. Marcus Chen, and in this video, I will explain that mistake, why most people overlook it, and the 5 proven ways to eliminate phlegm in your throat fast so you can breathe clearly, speak confidently, and stop coughing for good. Before we dive in, drop a comment with your age and where you're watching from today. Have you been dealing with chronic throat mucus or constant throat clearing? Write your answer below, because your experience helps our entire community. And hit that subscribe button because I share life-saving health strategies like this every week to help you thrive after 60. Most people believe that phlegm in the throat means they have a cold, allergies, or sinus infection. But in adults over 60, that assumption is often completely wrong. Chronic throat mucus is unique among respiratory symptoms. In most cases, it is not caused by infection at all. Without understanding the real cause, phlegm production continues silently. That is why temporary remedies never work. By the time you have tried every cough drop and decongestant on the shelf, the underlying problem has been getting worse for months. Here is the problem. As we age, our body's mucus regulation systems change dramatically. By the age of 60, acid reflux becomes more common. Medications increase mucus production as a side effect. Nasal drainage patterns change. Inflammation throughout the respiratory system increases. Each factor triggers the throat to produce protective mucus. I saw this clearly with one of my patients named Gerald, age 71. He felt like he was drowning in phlegm every morning. He coughed constantly after meals. He had tried antihistamines, steroid nasal sprays, and 3 different antibiotics. Nothing helped. His wife was frustrated listening to him clear his throat every 2 minutes. When he finally came to my office, we discovered the real cause. It was not allergies. It was not infection. It was severe acid reflux that he did not even feel. What most people do not realize is that chronic phlegm does not announce its real cause. It does not tell you whether it is coming from your sinuses, your stomach, your medications, or your diet. It just keeps producing while you treat the wrong problem. In older adults, treating symptoms without identifying the cause means months or years of unnecessary suffering. This is why so many seniors try remedy after remedy and nothing works. Now, here is where the first major mistake happens. Most seniors treat phlegm with medications that actually make the problem worse. They assume that more medicine means faster relief. But in people over 60, this approach often backfires completely. Phlegm elimination requires treating the root cause, not masking symptoms. With age, many common medications thicken mucus or increase production. Blood pressure medications called ACE inhibitors cause chronic cough in 20% of users. Antihistamines dry out mucus, making it stickier and harder to clear. Decongestants create rebound congestion when stopped. Without identifying medication side effects, chronic phlegm persists indefinitely. This is not rare. It is extremely common. That 68-year-old patient I mentioned earlier, Dorothy, was taking lisinopril for blood pressure. That single medication was causing her constant throat clearing. When we switched her to a different blood pressure medication, not an ACE inhibitor, her phlegm production dropped by 80% within 10 days. This is why understanding the real causes matters just as much as treating symptoms. If you're finding this helpful, go ahead and hit that like button. It really supports the channel and helps us reach more seniors who need this information. Now, Let us talk about the first proven phlegm elimination method, and this one is extremely powerful. Method number 1 is identifying and treating silent acid reflux. If you look at most people's approach to throat phlegm, they focus entirely on their nose and sinuses. They assume mucus comes from above. They try nasal sprays and sinus rinses. But your stomach acid dramatically changes throat mucus production. Silent reflux, also called laryngopharyngeal reflux, causes up to 60% of chronic throat phlegm cases in adults over 60. Unlike typical heartburn, silent reflux produces no chest pain or burning sensation. That assessment requires understanding reflux triggers and implementing targeted treatment. In adults over 60, stomach acid backing up into the throat triggers protective mucus production constantly. I saw this with a patient named Patricia, aged 66. She had been clearing her throat obsessively for 14 months. She tried every allergy medication available. Her ENT doctor scoped her throat and found nothing wrong structurally. She never had heartburn. She never felt acid coming up. When we discussed her eating patterns in detail, the picture became clear. She ate large meals late at night. She drank coffee on an empty stomach every morning. She bent over constantly gardening without thinking about it. We started her on a reflux protocol. Within 3 weeks, her throat phlegm decreased dramatically. Research shows that people with silent reflux experience throat clearing, chronic cough, sensation of lump in throat, and excessive mucus production without any heartburn symptoms at all. Here is what most people do not understand about silent reflux. Your lower esophageal sphincter, the valve between your stomach and esophagus, weakens with age. When you eat large meals, lie down too soon after eating, or consume trigger foods, acid splashes up into your throat. Your throat responds by producing thick protective mucus. That mucus is your body's defense mechanism against acid damage. The mucus is not the problem. The acid is the problem. I had a patient named Robert, age 73, who was coughing up phlegm every morning for 2 years. He slept flat on his back. He ate dinner at 8 p.m. and went to bed at 9 p.m. He drank orange juice with breakfast, tomato sauce with lunch, and coffee throughout the day. Every single one of those habits was triggering acid reflux. We made specific changes. He elevated the head of his bed 6 inches using blocks under the bedposts. He stopped eating 3 hours before bedtime. He eliminated acidic foods and drinks for 6 weeks. He started taking a proton pump inhibitor medication before breakfast. Within 4 weeks, his morning phlegm completely disappeared. He could not believe something so simple had been causing years of misery. The key changes for silent reflux include eating smaller, more frequent meals instead of large meals, avoiding food for at least 3 hours before lying down, elevating the head of your bed 6 to 8 inches, eliminating trigger foods like coffee, alcohol, chocolate, citrus, tomatoes, and spicy foods, losing weight if overweight, and taking acid-reducing medication if recommended by your doctor. The exact approach depends on severity. Research clearly demonstrates that treating silent reflux eliminates chronic throat phlegm in 70 to 85% of cases within 4 to 8 weeks. This is not a small effect. This is life-changing relief for most people. The key lesson here is simple. If you are over 60 and dealing with chronic throat mucus, assuming it is allergies or sinus problems may cause you to miss the real cause. Testing for silent reflux allows targeted treatment. Now we come to the second proven method, and this one helps thousands of people every year. Method number 2 is eliminating mucus-producing foods and adding mucus-thinning nutrition. Many people eat the same foods every day without realizing those foods trigger excessive mucus production. They wonder why remedies do not work. They blame allergies or weather. Food choices directly affect mucus thickness and production. Your diet matters more than you think. I saw this pattern in a 69-year-old patient named Helen. She drank whole milk every morning in her coffee. She ate cheese with lunch daily. She had ice cream most evenings. When I asked about her phlegm pattern, she said it was worst in the mornings and after meals. She had never connected her dairy intake to her mucus problem. When she eliminated dairy completely for 3 weeks, her throat phlegm reduced by 90%. After 6 weeks of avoiding dairy, she felt like a different person. Her throat was clear. Her coughing stopped. Her voice became clearer. Here is what happens with mucus-producing foods. Dairy products do not technically increase mucus production for everyone. but they make existing mucus thicker and stickier. In people already producing excess mucus from other causes, dairy makes the problem significantly worse. The proteins in milk products coat the throat and mix with mucus. This creates that thick, difficult-to-clear sensation. Beyond dairy, other foods trigger mucus production through different mechanisms. Sugar and refined carbohydrates promote inflammation throughout the body, including the respiratory tract. Inflammation triggers mucus production as a protective response. Processed foods contain additives and preservatives that some people react to with increased mucus. Fried foods and trans fats increase inflammatory responses. Alcohol dilates blood vessels in the throat and sinuses, increasing mucus production. I had a 74-year-old patient named Edward who eliminated sugar and processed foods from his diet. He had been eating pastries for breakfast, sandwiches on white bread for lunch, and pasta for dinner most days. His throat phlegm was constant. His cough was disrupting his sleep. Within 2 weeks of switching to whole foods, lean proteins, vegetables, and complex carbohydrates, his mucus production decreased noticeably. By 4 weeks, he rarely needed to clear his throat. He told me he had forgotten what it felt like to breathe clearly. Now let me tell you about mucus-thinning foods. These are foods that naturally thin mucus and make it easier to clear. Drinking plenty of water is the foundation. Dehydration makes mucus thick and sticky. Most seniors are chronically underhydrated without realizing it. I recommend at least 8 glasses of water daily. Warm liquids work even better. Warm water, herbal teas, and broths help thin mucus immediately. Spicy foods containing capsaicin, like cayenne pepper, temporarily thin mucus and promote drainage. Garlic and onions contain compounds that break down mucus. Pineapple contains bromelain, an enzyme that reduces mucus thickness. Ginger has anti-inflammatory properties that reduce mucus production. Lemon in warm water helps break down mucus and provides vitamin C. I recommend a daily routine for my patients with chronic phlegm. Start the morning with warm water and fresh lemon juice. This immediately begins thinning overnight mucus accumulation. Eliminate dairy products completely for at least 4 weeks to assess improvement. Reduce or eliminate sugar, especially in the morning when mucus is thickest. Add ginger tea throughout the day. Include garlic and onions in cooking. Eat pineapple or take bromelain supplements. Drink warm liquids consistently, not just when symptoms are bad. Avoid cold drinks, which can thicken mucus temporarily. Within 2 to 3 weeks, most people notice significant improvement. By 6 weeks, many report complete resolution of chronic throat phlegm. The combination of eliminating trigger foods and adding mucus-thinning nutrition is remarkably effective. Together, these dietary changes can dramatically reduce throat mucus production. Each positive change supports every other change. When you eliminate dairy, mucus becomes less sticky. When mucus becomes less sticky, hydration works better. When you stay hydrated, mucus-thinning foods work more effectively. It is a positive cycle. Now let me walk you through the third proven phlegm elimination method. This is the approach I use with my own patients over 60. Method number 3 is proper hydration techniques and humidity control. For most seniors, drinking water seems obvious. But how you hydrate and control environmental moisture levels makes a massive difference in mucus consistency. Chronic dehydration thickens mucus into a paste that is impossible to clear. Your body loses water constantly through breathing, sweating, and urination. Older adults have reduced thirst sensation. You do not feel thirsty even when dehydrated. Medications like diuretics increase water loss. By the time you feel thirsty, you are already significantly dehydrated. Thick mucus is one of the first signs of chronic dehydration. When your body lacks water, it conserves moisture by producing thicker, stickier mucus. That mucus clings to your throat instead of clearing naturally. I saw this clearly in a patient named Dorothy, age 72. She was drinking maybe 3 cups of fluid total per day. 1 cup of coffee in the morning, maybe a glass of juice at lunch, and a small glass of water with dinner. That was it. She was severely dehydrated. Her mucus was so thick she could barely cough it up. It felt like glue in her throat. I put her on a strict hydration protocol. She started drinking 8 ounces of water every 2 hours throughout the day. Within 48 hours, her mucus consistency changed. It became thinner and easier to clear. Within 1 week, her constant throat clearing reduced by half. She could not believe that something as simple as water made such a dramatic difference. But here is what most people miss about hydration for mucus. It is not just about quantity. It is about timing and temperature. Drinking large amounts at once does not hydrate mucous membranes as effectively as consistent small amounts throughout the day. Your body can only absorb so much water at one time. Excess water is simply urinated out. Drinking warm or room temperature water works better than ice-cold water. Cold water can temporarily thicken mucus in the throat. Warm water immediately begins thinning mucus on contact. Adding electrolytes improves hydration at the cellular level. Plain water is good, but water with a pinch of sea salt or electrolyte powder is better. Here is the hydration protocol I recommend for chronic phlegm. Drink 8 ounces of water immediately upon waking. This rehydrates after overnight water loss and begins thinning morning mucus. Continue drinking 6 to 8 ounces every 2 hours throughout the day. Set phone alarms if needed. Drink warm or room temperature liquids, especially in the morning and evening. Add a pinch of sea salt to water once or twice daily for electrolyte balance. Include herbal teas, especially ginger, peppermint, or licorice root. Avoid excessive caffeine and alcohol, which are dehydrating. Monitor urine color. Pale yellow indicates good hydration. Dark yellow means you need more water. Now let me address humidity control, which is just as important as hydration. Dry air dries out mucous membranes. When mucous membranes dry out, they produce thicker, stickier mucus to protect themselves. Most homes, especially in winter with heating systems running, have very low humidity. Indoor humidity below 30% causes mucus to thicken significantly. I had a patient named Thomas, age 68, whose phlegm problem was dramatically worse in winter. Every October through March, his throat felt like it was coated in cement. He coughed constantly. He could barely sleep. In April, when the weather warmed and he turned off the heat, his symptoms improved. He never connected it to indoor humidity until we discussed it. We measured the humidity in his bedroom. It was 22%. That is desert-level dryness. No wonder his mucus was impossibly thick. We placed a humidifier in his bedroom and living room. We kept indoor humidity between 40 and 50%. Within 3 days, his nighttime coughing decreased. Within 1 week, his morning phlegm was significantly thinner and easier to clear. He finally started sleeping through the night. The combination of proper hydration and humidity control is powerful. They work together synergistically. Adequate hydration provides your body with the water it needs to produce thinner mucus. Adequate humidity prevents that mucus from drying out and becoming sticky. Here are the specific recommendations for humidity control. Use a humidifier in your bedroom and main living space during dry seasons. Maintain indoor humidity between 40 and 50%. Use a hygrometer to measure humidity accurately. Clean humidifiers regularly to prevent mold and bacteria growth. Consider a whole house humidifier if you live in a dry climate. Breathe steam from hot showers or bowls of hot water. Avoid overheating your home, which dries the air further. At this point, you may realize something important. Most seniors are not refusing to drink water or control humidity. They simply do not understand how dramatically these factors affect mucus consistency. Each missed opportunity allows thick phlegm to persist. Together, these habits can transform chronic throat mucus. Now let us continue with the 4th proven phlegm elimination method. Method number 4 is identifying and changing medications that cause mucus. Many seniors take multiple medications daily without realizing those medications are directly causing their throat phlegm problem. The medications that should be helping their health are creating a miserable mucus problem. Doctors prescribe medications for important reasons, but side effects are real. Chronic cough and excessive mucus production are extremely common medication side effects in older adults. The problem is that most people never connect their new medication to their new phlegm problem. The medication starts in January. The phlegm starts in February. They assume it is allergies or a cold that never went away. They never mention it to their doctor because they do not realize the connection. I saw this clearly with a patient named Richard, age 70. He had been on lisinopril for high blood pressure for 8 months. He developed a dry, hacking cough and constant throat clearing around month 2. He tried cough suppressants. He tried allergy medications. Nothing helped. The cough was driving him crazy. It was disrupting his sleep. His wife was sleeping in a different room. When he came to my office for his regular checkup, I asked about new symptoms. He mentioned the cough. I immediately suspected his blood pressure medication. ACE inhibitors like lisinopril cause chronic cough in 10 to 20% of people who take them. The cough is caused by a buildup of bradykinin in the lungs. It triggers constant irritation and mucus production.